Okay, so now we've gone through all of the 5 components of Google Classroom, from Stream all the way across to Settings. We've talked about how you create classwork, how you edit classwork, how you set up some grades, kinda. We talked about how you reorganize the screen, reorganize the classwork, get students into your classroom. We've talked about a lot of stuff. But let's go ahead and let's talk about the most important thing you're going to do with Classroom. And that is figuring out how you're going to organize your classroom. So let's take a minute and let's turn one of our basic intro classes that I just created, and let's reorganize it to be something that's actually usable for a year, or at least to start a year of classwork. So let's get started. First things first, I'm going to delete these topics or these assignments that I don't need. And I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to go ahead and keep week 1, but I don't need any of these assignments under because they're not ones I'm actually going to use. But I'm going to use week 1 for my intro, but then from there I'm going to need, based on the way my school is going to run their blended learning, week 2 and 3 are going to be together. And for me, I want them down here so that I read from week 1 to 2 to 3. And I'm going to go ahead and then create another topic where that's going to be week 4 and 5. All right, and I can reorganize these just as I would in a planner. Now, underneath week 1, I always start my class with a project. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to create a material because I'm not going to use the grading within the Google Classroom. So I'm just going to put materials in here. And in this case, it's going to be the entrance project, and it's a large week-long project that we're going to use in teams to do the review that I don't need to do personally, but I want students to take advantage of learning. So this is a review project with the intent to build collaboration and teamwork among new class members. Okay, so now I want to add the work that goes along with that introduction. So I'm going to go to Google Drive and grab whatever slideshow was in for that component of my learning, and I'm going to go ahead and post it right now because I'm going to want that for week 1. That's my entrance project. Next, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create another assignment. And again, I went to assignment. I don't want this for points, so I could either leave it as an assignment with due dates, which we could go ahead and do, or I could give it an assignment date, but I could simply make it ungraded. But that's not really how I want to set this up. So let's go back and let's make it materials, and it's going to be the introduction chapter. And I'm going to go ahead and add my Google Drive, add the component that I need to add to it, and I'm going to post it. Now, I could post it now, or I could wait and I could schedule that post for not this week. I could go all the way out to the 17th and schedule there. I could go technically farther than that, but that's as far as I need it. So I'm going to put that under my week 2 and 3. And finally, I'm going to create yet another material, and it's going to be functions. And I could put my description in, I could put my Google Drive, and finally go get the last component, and there he is, functions, and I want to post it I'm going to schedule it out sometime here in September and schedule it there. So now I have a framework that's set up based on what week these things are going to be happening in my class. What happens if I don't get to them at that time? I can move them down. What happens if I get to them early? I can move them up. I can change the due dates on it. I can change the assignment dates on it. All of those things are changeable. But when I go to my stream, I should see that my entrance project was posted. You'll notice I don't have the other two because they are not posted yet. They will show up in the stream as that time frame comes along. So let's go to this assignment and you'll see what I've done to create week-long components or blocks. You might call these units. So in this case, this is a week-long unit in which I have a slideshow that tells the students what we're going to be doing for expectations in the class, gives them a number of links to the expectations and the rubric on how it will be covered. Then we go through and I have submission forms and group evaluation forms and projects from previous years they can use as a guide, peer review form, peer results, and the list goes on. So all of this and all of the things that are in this slideshow are all of the components that I want for week 1. Now, that's just week 1. Well, what are we going to do in week 2? Well, if I were to go to week 2, let's make sure that shows up and say, boy, we sure finished week 1 awful fast. Let's go ahead and post that now. Go ahead and post that guy now. You'll notice as soon as I post it, it shows up in the stream, but they can always find it in classwork. So post in the stream, and we get the first chapter work, and everything for this 2-week series is now included in all of the slides. So you can use all of the power of the Google Suite, and you can take the power of the Google Suite and you can combine it with the calendar, with Google Classroom as the framework, so that Google Classroom simply is the place that you place and you store key components of what's going on. It also allows parents to see what is out there, what needs to be turned in. All the communication can go back and forth on this framework, yet it's flexible enough to not limit you as a teacher to the way that you want to design your classroom, as long as it's well thought out, planned, and intentional. The limits are really not there. You can do a great deal of stuff with your Google Classroom by simply creating it, setting some basic dates, watch your stream. Grades you'll have to talk to your administrator or your team about, get those kids involved, and send messages back and forth to parents, reach out to kids, and make sure that you're providing the best education you can, regardless of whether you're in school or out of school.